Hello students, today we are going to begin with chapter number 2, The Master Artist, composed by Carol Moore. In this video lecture, I'll deal with reading of the chapter and along with it, we'll discuss the difficult words. And before doing so, let me introduce the author to you. The picture which you see on your screen is of the author Carol Moore. She is known by Anne Carol Moore. She enjoyed writing and illustrating children's stories with her name as Carol Moore. Students, at that time, one more writer was there with the same name as Anne E. Moore. So, she chose her name as Carol Moore. If we see Carol's early life and education, we'll find that she was born in Limerick, Maine, in the US on July 12, 1871. She had 7 elder brothers. Among her siblings, she was the only surviving daughter to her parent, Luther Sanborn, her father, and Sarah Baker Moore, her mother. She described her childhood as a happy one. Now, you will know that she began her formal education at the Limerick Academy in Maine. Later, she attended a 2-year college in Massachusetts. She was very close to her father and was highly influenced by him. That is why she wanted to become a lawyer like her father. In the year 1932, Moore received a Diploma of Honors as a special award from the Pratt Institute, and in the year 1940, she was twice awarded the Doctor of Letters from the University of Maine. And further you will see that in the year 1955, she again received honorary doctorate from the Pratt Institute. In 1960, a year before her death, she was awarded the Catholic Association's Regina Medal for her pioneer work in children's library services. She died on January 20th, 1961 at the age of 89 at New York City in US. Students, this was all about the author. Now I am going to discuss the difficult words of this chapter. You may pay attention to the pronunciation. The Master Artist by Carol Moore. Students, let's discuss the words which are provided in the glossary on page number 9. You can see that I have cut short the meanings and given here. If you want, you can write these words with a pen or pencil in your textbook. The first word is monsieur. It's a French word which means Mr. The pronunciation is given down. You can see here M-U-H-S-Y-U-H. It means monsieur. Patron, a person who supports artists and writers. Another meaning for patron is a promoter. Signor, G is silent and it's an Italian word which means Mr. Glint, it means sudden brightness in the eyes, showing happiness or excitement. 2 more words are provided, shine and twinkle. Give his imagination wings. The word his is pronoun and in the chapter it's used for one of the characters. Give his imagination wings means allow his imagination to work freely so that he could paint the portrait the way he liked. It is talking about the painter who wanted to paint in his own style and wanted to give his imagination wings, means his ideas wings, so that he could paint in his own way or in his own style. Hungered to break free of restraint. Hungered means wanting badly. Break free of restraints means to come out from traditional art forms or to break the chains of something which you do not like. So here I have given you allowed to do something without limitations. Guild. It's a professional union of artists or craftsmen which was quite powerful at that era or at that particular time, which means a group of people having common goal. Students, which means a guild is a group of people, actually they are the promoters. Okay. Now let's see the first paragraph. No word is underlined. Next paragraph, we have few words. Disappointment means sadness. Portrait means photo. Hidden, secret or concealed, which you do not want others to know about it. You keep it secret. Then insist. It means appeal or request earnestly or forcefully. Then another word is effort, which means work, endeavor or deed. Longed, it means wished or desired to do some particular kind of work. Then you have didn't reveal. Didn't is a contracted form of did not. Reveal means to tell the secret, but when we say didn't reveal, it means did not disclose or tell, or did not want to tell the secret to others. Next page, we do not have any word in the glossary, but we surely have a couple of words appearing in paragraph number 6. The first word is immediately. It means at once or without any delay. You can also say immediately means instantly. To peek, it means to look secretly without the knowledge of anybody else. To peep, P-E-E-P also means to peek or to look secretly. Moving to the next page, page number 11. In the glossary, the first word you have apprentice. It means a person who works for an employer mainly to learn the skills required for a particular job. You can say apprentice means a learner or a student. Ambroglio Lorenziti. Students, it is not a term but it is a name of a painter. Now, Ambrogio Lorenziti was an Italian painter who worked in the 14th century and was one of the most important painters of his time. And the painter was a learner. He had learned painting from Ambrogio Lorenziti. What you have to prepare for your examination? Ambrogio Lorenziti, an Italian painter. Next word we have pigment. It means colored powder that is mixed with liquid to produce paint. So I have underlined here colored powder. Plaster, a mixture of sand and cement put on walls and ceilings to give them a smooth surface. A layer or a cover. Now students, if someone's hand or leg is broken, that also is plastered, but the mixture is different. But when we plaster the walls of our home, that mixture is prepared with help of sand and cement. So we can say it's a layer. Plaster is a layer or a cover of something. Buon fresco is an Italian word. That is why it's written here, an Italian expression for true fresco. Now, what's a true fresco? It is a technique. True fresco is a technique of painting in which a picture is painted on a wall or ceiling while the plaster is still wet, so that the colors blend with the plaster and become fixed as the plaster dries. So you have to prepare. Buon fresco means an Italian technique of painting. Endeavor, I have already discussed this word. Endeavor means effort, activity, work or deed. A twitch, a brief sudden movement that showed his anger. Here his anger, his is used for one of the characters of the chapter. So a twitch is a movement, a body movement, a sudden movement that showed anger or frustration. Enrage, it means furious, or another word for enraged is angry. Absurd, you may call it ridiculous, silly or idiotic. Now, from the paragraphs, the words which we are discussing from the paragraphs are for your knowledge, so that you may learn this chapter properly. Dishonor, it means disrespect, not to give respect to someone, that is known as dishonor. Then reluctantly, it means unwillingly, the work which you do not want to do by your own desire or wish. Or in another way we say, which is done forcefully, that is reluctantly or unwillingly. The next three words I have underlined and put the mark of asterisks. These three words we will discuss later. Now see the word fortunate. It means lucky. Time consuming. Time consuming means time taking. And time consuming is used for endeavor. Endeavor is noun here. Endeavor means work. And time consuming is working as an adjective. ing adjective. Sighing deeply. It means taking a deep breath. When we sigh deeply, a kind of sound is produced from our mouth. That is known as taking a deep breath. A rush of air comes out from our mouth. So we say sighing deeply. It can be a sign of relief, or even it can be a sign of frustration or anger. Then you have another word, withdrew. In this chapter, the meaning of withdrew is went away. Now let's discuss the next word, which is exclaimed. It means shouted or yelled. In para 15 we have few words. First one is mouth fell open. Students, it's a phrase which means greatly surprised, which is associated with shock. Mouth fell open doesn't mean someone's mouth is broken and it has fallen on the ground, but it is an expression which tells somebody is greatly surprised. Then it's written hairs. Grammatical error is here. You may cut and bring change in your book. Singular is hair as well as plural is also hair. Next word is under a spell. It's also a phrase which means controlled by magic or hypnotize, a condition in which you are not able to do something. that is known as under a spell or controlled by magic. Disgusting, it means shameful. Now, the last page. Fussed and fixed, it means thought and worked on it before finalizing. The last word is cubist. It means belonging to a style called cubism. And what is this style known as cubism? A form of modern art which uses geometric shapes and was developed and made famous by Pablo Picasso. Pablo Picasso was one of the greatest painters of his time, and he was in the early 20th century. And in bracket it is written, this story tells us that an artist who lived 5 centuries earlier had discovered the same style and received no recognition for doing so. You have to prepare. Cubist means a form of modern art which uses geometric shapes. Geometric means using different or various kinds of lines to prepare a kind of painting. Now, before I read the chapter for you, I would like to narrate the story in a nutshell so that when I read it, you may be able to relate to the characters. In the story, you will see the painter named Musha Sinilabe, who was a recommended artist of his time, was requested by the patron named Giuliano Bartoli to prepare his portrait on a 20 feet tall wall, which was in his dining room. At the beginning, you will see that the painter did not agree, but later he decided to prepare the portrait because he wanted to get free from the restraints of two styles of painting prevailing at that time. So he wanted to give his imagination wings. But then you will see that what he wanted, it did not go like that. The story is not having a smooth development, and at the end you will find that the patron Giuliano Bartoli was really very disappointed and he was extremely unhappy to see his painting. Now I will not reveal you the complete story, because if I tell you everything, you will not find it so exciting. Many questions can arise in your mind, that why he was angry, why the painting was not come out properly, whether the painter was paid or not. All these you will come to know when I will read the story for you. Now you see, while I read the chapter, what you have to do. You should try to be observant and you should listen what I read very carefully. The Master Artist, chapter number 2. Musha Sinilabe had been a master artist of his day, and in 1392 was ready to retire when, in the month of May, Giuliano Bartoli, a rich Italian patron, sent for him. On his arrival, Bartoli said, "I'd like a portrait of myself on the wall of my dining hall, where everyone can see it. Could you paint it? The wall is 20 feet tall." Musha Labe looked thoughtful for a moment and then shook his head. "I'm sorry, but I don't think so. I'm ready to retire, so I'm not available for hire." However, seeing the disappointment in Signor Bartoli's eyes, he continued, "Well, there's a possibility if you think you can allow me to use my abilities to the fullest. if you let me find out how far I can go as an artist. Not for money, mind you, but for food and a bed instead. You need not even pose because my memory is excellent. Already I can see your portrait in my mind. But I insist, Signor Bartoli, that while I work, your portrait must remain hidden even from you. How strange, thought the patron, but he also thought about how highly the artist had been recommended. Of course, he said, anything you wish, but I insist at least upon paying you something for your effort. Let's drop a contract. Now a glint came to Monsieur l'Abbe's eyes as he gazed upon that 20-foot tall wall and thought of all that space. Such a wonderful space to give his imagination wings, because unknown to Signor Bartoli or indeed anyone else, for all his career of 45 years, Monsieur l'Abbe had longed to paint in his own way. And what was that? Certainly not the popular styles of that time. No, Monsieur Sinilabe had hungered to break free of restraints. But the guild, his craft and livelihood, would never have allowed it. So he followed their rules, although he was never proud of it. Of course, he didn't reveal this to Signor Bartoli. Signing the contract, they sealed the agreement. Immediately, the master artist threw a high curtain in front of the wall, a curtain through which Signor Bartoli could not see at all. He tried to peek, but Monsieur l'Abbe insisted on total privacy for his artistic techniques. A week passed. How is it coming along? Asked the hopeful Signor Bartoli. Answering from behind the curtain, Monsieur l'Abbe said, "It's coming along quite well. You know, at the age of 8, I was apprentice to the great Ambrogio Lorenzetti. I could never dishonor his name. He taught me the art of grinding pigment, laying plaster, sometimes slowly, sometimes faster. He taught me how to draw and, most importantly, not to hurry. Signor Bartoli, a masterpiece takes a while at least." Reluctantly, Signor Bartoli withdrew. A month passed. "How is it coming along?" Signor Bartoli asked. "It's coming along nicely," said Monsieur l'Abbe, again from behind the curtain. Along with his words came the strange sounds of swooshing, clanking, and slapping. "You know you are fortunate that I am painting your portrait. Only Buon fresco will need 4 coats of lime plaster. It's the best plaster process I ever saw. Signor Bartoli, it will last forever, but it's a time-consuming endeavor." Sighing deeply, the patron withdrew again. Just how long would this take? Another 3-4 months passed, and finally half a year went by. One day, Signor Bartoli marched in, demanding to see his portrait. "You must be finished by now today. I will see it," he exclaimed, shaking with frustration. Stepping out from behind the cloth, as though surprised by such anger, Monsieur l'Abbe said calmly, "That's fine. You needed only to request it." And he pulled aside the 20-foot-tall curtain. Giuliano Bartoli stood for a minute. Then his mouth fell open. His eyes turned red, and he grabbed what few hair he had left on his head. He did a little hop and then a twitch, and his eyebrows twisted as though he was under a spell. Giuliano Bartoli obviously did not like his portrait, not a bit. Giuliano Bartoli was enraged. How absurd! How disgusting! What does this mean? You'll not receive any money. Do you hear? None. You are not an artist. Maybe a thief or a madman. Get out of my sight. You'll leave my house tonight, or I'll have thrown you out. So, what had Monsieur l'Abbé drawn that was so wrong? He couldn't see it. He had fussed and fixed for so long. It was his 20-foot-tall masterpiece. He wasn't sorry that he had drawn to his heart's content, his way, no matter what anybody could say. Perhaps his patron couldn't tolerate his cubist expression, but Pablo Picasso would have been proud of him. If truth be told, Monsieur l'Abbé wasn't crazy, not at all. He had simply been born 500 years too early. Okay, students, I have read the chapter for you. Now, what's your work? Your homework is to read this chapter twice and then prepare the difficult meanings provided in the glossary. I'll explain the chapter thoroughly to you in my next video. Till then, take care. Bye.